welcome to the MacIver Report. This is the official staff podcast of the John K. MacIver Institute for Public Policy. I'm Bill Osmolsky, MacIver's content director, and I am joined today by...
Annette Olson, CEO of MacIver Institute.
And...
Rebecca Drager, intern here at the MacIver Institute.
Thank you very much for being here today. So throughout the election season, we've been making predictions all along the way of what's going to happen. And so far, we'll go through these one at a time. So far, I would say that it doesn't seem like we've been wrong on anything, but we haven't necessarily been right either. So the first MacIver prediction is Jimmy Carter will die in October. That'll be the October surprise because it would rally the troops. Rebecca, you obviously that has not happened yet, but you had a conspiracy theory that you floated to me just a few minutes ago.
I wouldn't necessarily say I believe this, but I wonder if he's already dead, and if so, would they announce it?
Yeah, see, Annette, what do you think of that?
I don't know. I just think that they're not treating him very nicely. And, when we saw him vote, I was really, very skeptical about how he's being treated, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, and that's one of the, I noticed a lot of the news stories, because, for what I do, I have to go out and find actual images of a lot of things just for featured images for the website and stuff. And I noticed when I started, Googling Jimmy Carter, voted Jimmy Carter, all the pictures that you see, especially with the voting ones, they're all a year or two old.
Oh.
So I had to go back to his birthday to get that one picture of him just, seemingly comatose.
Right.
But so my theory, Rebecca, on why they went, if he were to die, I think they would get more. They'd get more political points if they announced the right way. So then they could they rally the troops, go vote in this election. Go vote, honor Jimmy, one last time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this one, the Harris LGBTQ confession. This was a Mike one. He's not here today. His theory was, if Harris is really falling behind, that she might, come up with some story about, something that might have happened in college. Been lots of LGBT, rumors and conspiracies, but none involving her. So that one so far is wrong. A lot of these predictions, we'll be able to, say we were wrong on all of them after Election Day. But
it's kind of fun to throw it out there, I suppose.
Yeah. That's kind of the idea behind the MacIver Report is this is stuff that you aren't going to write down, you aren't going to write articles about it, but, it's time for us to kind of blow off a little steam and throw some ideas around. It's kind of like a public brainstorming session.
Wondering out loud.
Yeah. World War III. My prediction is World War III will not happen before the election, so fingers crossed. Thought there would be a Ukraine ceasefire with the idea that you wouldn't end the war. You would just declare a ceasefire where, it would give Kamala a great foreign policy win. She would say, come out and say, hey, the battlefield portion of this war is over. We're going to solve this at the negotiating table. Seemed like that would have been a great path for them to take. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they don't listen to this podcast. And the final one, we'll know this. This is going to take a few weeks for us to know this one. But Harris sworn in to finish the term after the election.
Yeah.
My position on this has been that they can't do it before the election. And people are already speculating, they should swear her in right now. It's like, no, it doesn't. That would be terrible. You would have again, a sizable fraction of a percentage of people, of Democrat voters would say, oh, she's president, she won, I don't have to go vote now. So that is why why they would never do that. But as soon as the election's over, I think, whether she wins or loses, they're going to swear her in to finish out the term. She'll be 47. For 2 months or for 4 years and 2 months. I read an editorial about this recently about how somebody has a similar theory now. I'm on the record. I did it. I said it first.
All right.
But
everybody noticed.
Yeah, and we've got it recorded. It's on SoundCloud, so go download it there. No, this theory was the Democrats are so vindictive and so petty that they would do that just because Donald Trump has spent all this money branding himself as 45 and
I was
47.
just thinking that.
Yeah.
All the people that spent $20 on a hat or whatever,
Yeah.
like they could never wear it again.
Yeah, and you think that they aren't that petty. The author brought up, remember when George W. beat Al Gore and he came into the White House and the Clinton staffers on the way out the door had taken all the W's off every keyboard in the White House. So,
Nope, they're petty.
yeah.
They are very petty people.
See, that's, being on this show, Rebecca, you're going to get that historical perspective.
Yeah.
All right, let's I'm sorry. Do either of you two have any more predictions that we should add to our list? Even with the clock winding down, it's not too late to make a prediction.
I think there's going to be a whole bunch of garbage hats now.
Oh.
People are going to be maybe even looking like the Sesame Street character coming out of the garbage can,
Yeah.
Do you think they're getting any traction off of that? I mean, it was a warm-up act. And it's not like, Donald Trump had taken the stage and called, them buckets of deplorables or, called, it wasn't like he called anyone pieces of trash or,
No, but Biden sure helped the whole movement there. He's, I thought it was kind of interesting that he keeps stepping out and saying really stupid things when the vice president is out speaking. Like during the time of her speeches, he's making these really dumb remarks. And so for that alone, she may just be number 47.
Yeah. You think he's sabotaging her? Are you
I
buying
think
into
so.
that?
You want to talk about petty?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. They hate each other.
Yeah.
So, Rebecca, did you have any predictions?
I don't.
Okay. Well, we'll end this with our final, outcome predictions. So that's how we'll end the show. But let's go into a couple stories that we've read on MacIver over the past week. We have an election story. This one was from one of our new freelancers, Matt Tregeser, and it's the title of the article is "Are You a Hostile?"
Oh.
And this is a fun one because after it requires a little bit of background. After the 2016 election, all these Democrats that had been staffers on Capitol Hill, they were all disillusioned because Trump won. So they left Congress. They started a activist group called Indivisibles. And it's like a really sophisticated grassroots operation. And, sometimes you'll wonder where does the left get their talking points? I think they get it from Indivisibles. Every day they send out an email saying, this is what's going on, this is how you should think about it, these are the actions that you as a citizen can take. Write a letter to the editor, put something up on Twitter, whatever it is. So that's, that is like really a driving force. And they've got this huge get out the vote campaign right now for Kamala Harris called Neighbor to Neighbor. And what they've done is they've built this enormous database of potential Democrat voters. And if you sign up for Neighbor to Neighbor, they'll send you a list of 10 names in your neighborhood. And
So that's an app, right?
it's an app.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an app. It's a website. And you sign up, and they send you the script of exactly what to say. And there's a option to record whether you spoke to the person at that house, whether they weren't home, or if they were quote unquote hostile. Mm-hmm. Now, according to the instructions, hostile doesn't mean they yelled at you or anything like that. It simply means they are obviously not voting for Kamala Harris. Mm. So the point of the story is if the right had done something like that, it would be, stealing headlines, New York Times, and all that. To have a national database where you are cataloging people who disagree with you, specifically as hostile, is, it's a little troubling.
Mm-hmm. It's very troubling.
And I've got on the screen, my list. And the first one was, I was debating whether even to blur it out, because it's not even a house, it's a garage, which makes me a little concerned of, where are they getting the data for this list, and why is somebody registered to vote at a mechanic's garage? But maybe we'll look into that post-election. The other one, Annette, I know you're more familiar with this than I am, but it's voters have a lot of IDs to pick from. Could you just run us through that real quick?
Well, sure. You can get a photo ID. You can get a driver's license. You have a form to fill out. You go into the DOT, into the Department of Motor Vehicles offices, sign up on their website. And of course, the first thing they want to ask is whether you're a citizen or not. And but if you're not, that's okay, because they'll help you figure out how to get a photo ID or a driver's license. And so sometimes, non-U.S. citizens that are not in the country for a while will have a driver's license that looks a little different. It's, got a expiration date that is not typical, aligned with your birth date. Like most of the expiration dates on
Okay.
citizens' driver's license, the expiration date coincides with your birthday. And so that's clue one.
Oh, yeah.
That you can take a look at that and know that that is not a U.S. citizen holder of a photo ID or a driver's license. So that's one way. Another way is it'll say veteran on the top. Other ones will say there's a new category that actually there's a special called WEC meeting coming up on Friday where they're going to be discussing whether they can use those types of IDs or not. And I can't remember the names of them right offhand. I think that there's a particular message on the ID. So far,
Not to be used for voting purposes?
No, it actually doesn't even say that, which is very off-putting to a lot of people. So the election clerks aren't really supposed to ask whether a person is a U.S. citizen or not at the time they go and vote. And so when they take a look at these driver's licenses that have a special category on them, they wonder, what it is, but they're really not allowed to ask. And so there's, like I said, WEC is calling a special meeting for this Friday coming up to discuss this particular class of ID. Really, on the request of Congressman Brian Stile, because he was pretty alarmed by the fact that these were, according to WEC, allowable for people to use to go vote, and the only people that can hold these are non-U.S. citizens. So that really flies in the face of us having, legal elections, really.
Yeah, and you brought up something that I just want to touch on about how, the volunteers at the polling places aren't supposed to ask stuff.
No, the election clerks are not. Now, the election observers, can challenge those voters, and that's a whole process that they have to learn. And that's really kind of an intimidating process anyway, because, you got to make sure that what you're doing is, did I see it right? Did I hear it right? All while you've got all this other stuff going on around you, right? And you want to make sure you're making the right call. And, if they make the wrong call and, what are they going to be told? They're racist, and who wants to be called that?
Yeah, especially these days when everyone's got a camera pointed at you.
That's right, yeah.
But no, I thought like it's a great insight into how government works, because, a lot of people who've never worked for government or done anything like this, they don't realize that, even like the volunteers at the polls, they don't really freelance. When there's a new policy, there needs to be guidance on exactly how to, how those workers are supposed to implement that policy.
Yeah.
And there needs to be training to train them exactly what to say and how to handle each situation.
Right.
And that's why a lot of the memos that we've covered over the years that come from WAC on guidance to clerks and, training programs, that's why that stuff is so important, because, that is really dictates how these people are going to, how they're going to perform their duties at the polling place. And, like you said, how, it's intimidating, you never know if you're wrong. That's why they don't freelance. They just do exactly what they're told, and, as long as they stick to the script, they're going to be fine.
Right, and it's, you're pretty much under duress when you're in that situation, right? Like, you want to make sure that you're actually, doing the right thing, and it makes it kind of difficult.
So, where are you looking up that ID
yep,
stuff?
I've got it now.
Okay.
It's limited term and non-domiciled designations.
Wow.
And so, like,
Yeah.
why are we coming up with all of these categories, right? So, to take us
Yeah.
back a little bit in time, at the beginning of this year, May-ish, we asked why you can't say on the driver's license, why the DMV won't put on the driver's license non-citizen. And it's because they said they didn't have room to put that on there. But now we have non-domiciled
Yeah.
category on the driver's license. It's
Yeah.
absurd to me.
Yeah, and to get back to my spiel about training these workers and they do exactly what they're told. Even in that situation, if they've got a form in front of them, is the person a citizen or not, and it says on their driver's license they're not, they're still going to check that box. You put non-domicile, they aren't going to
Right.
they aren't going to make that judgment call, even if they know for sure that means you're not a citizen. So,
Correct. Yep.
all right, let's switch over to our to the predictions for the election. If you're on social media, you're seeing these things all over the place. All the 270 to win maps. So we'll run through a couple of these. I'll pop them up on the screen. So the first one, this is one of the maps. If you go to 270 to win, it's the 2024 consensus map as of October 26th. This is what they're saying. Obviously, they got a lot of toss-ups there. Democrats are a little bit ahead, but you could obviously see what are all the battleground states, whether you agree those are battlegrounds or not. And if you two have any comments about any of these, hop in. Otherwise, I'll just go to the next one until we get to a really interesting one.
So we're starting out with Wisconsin being toss-up still.
Yep.
All right.
So it's Wisconsin. So for those listening on the SoundCloud podcast, it's the toss-ups are Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. And you could come up with theories on why North Carolina and Georgia might be toss-ups, because a lot of the people that might turn those states red probably aren't available for polling right now.
Sure. Too close to call, maybe.
Yeah.
So for those just listening, this map has it at 226 for Democrats and 219 on Republicans, and then so you need 270 to win.
270 to win. So they're another map that they've got is the Kalshi odds, and this one goes a little bit more makes some more is a little bit bolder. It's got Republicans with 287 and Democrats with 226. So Republicans are winning this one. There's only two toss-ups on this one. It's Michigan and Wisconsin. So my observation on this one is Michigan and Wisconsin might be up for grabs, but obviously it doesn't matter because under this scenario, Trump has already won. This has all of those other toss-up states going red. So Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia are all red in this scenario.
So they don't need Wisconsin or Michigan for a Republican win of 287, I see.
All right, next one. This is the polling no toss-ups. So a lot of this is obviously going to be margin of error, but if the margin of error falls the way that it currently is leaning slightly, this one has Trump winning with 297, Harris 241. Under this scenario, all those states before, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, they all go red, and Wisconsin goes red, but Michigan goes blue. So any thoughts on the probability or possibility of this one? All right. We'll keep driving on.
Rebecca's just sighing.
Rebecca's, throw it out there. There are so many crazy theories right now floating around on Twitter that, if you say, oh no, I think Minnesota's going to go red, or, I think New York can go red. You're the only one that says it.
I actually think Wisconsin's going to not vote for Wells.
You mean Minnesota.
Minnesota is not going to vote for Wells. I think they're tired of him.
Yeah, so this one might get up to 307 by Annette's going out on a limb.
Yeah, there's my prediction.
So I played with this a little bit just because there's the left has got they're even crazier theories than that. There is a narrative going around right now that that Texas is up for grabs. It's you know, it could go either way. So this next map that I have, I put, okay, take that, you know, polling no toss-up map and just turn Texas blue. And yeah, I mean, there's no coming back from that. Harris wins 281, Trump has 257. Yeah, that means that even if he were to get Michigan, you know, I mean, that's just a deficit that Republicans are going to be, I don't know if they can, it would be really tough for them to come back from that.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the chances of that Bush Library turning blue down there might not be something that they want. I heard that, by the way, by somebody last night, that they thought, you know, well, what if, it's crazy, but what if Texas turns blue? And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy.
Well, I mean, they really think that, you know, like Ted Cruz is in trouble. They think that if they push a little bit harder, he's going to lose. And if you know, if Republicans lose one statewide race, it's reasonable to think, well, you could win all of them, you know.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people driving from California moving to Texas. I'm sure probably that's where, you know, this conversation's coming from, but
Austin's growing.
yeah, it sure is. Yeah.
All right, so here are some of the ones that I bookmarked on Twitter. So the day after the election, I can go back to see who was closest to being right. This one, the I Love You Maine, stay wonked. I mean, it's not like this guy came up with this. I mean, I'm seeing this one on a lot of Democrats and liberal social media influencers.
Okay.
This is just all the battlegrounds go blue.
Mm.
If that happens, it's 319 to 219.
I guess you got to look at that possibility.
Yeah, I mean, didn't they all go blue last time? Even Georgia, which nobody even thought was really a battleground. I mean, it was like, come on, you're
Yeah.
kidding me, and it wound up going blue. They didn't get North Carolina last time though, did they? But it was close, I think.
Yeah. I you know, again, I guess we ought to take a look at, you know, what does it look like if all the battleground states do turn blue?
All right, this next one by Devin Goggins. This one has Harris winning too. It's another 280. It's 282 to 256 in this one. This is, you know, Trump wins a couple of the battlegrounds. Wisconsin goes red under this scenario. Arizona's red. Georgia's red. The rest of those battlegrounds went blue. So North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Nevada, they all go blue, and those three can win the election for Harris. So I think that's the most important thing to point out about this map. I find it really hard. I don't think Wisconsin's going to be going out on its own in this election. I think that if you know, if all the other battlegrounds go blue, Wisconsin's going blue. If all the other battlegrounds go red, well, Wisconsin might still go blue, but it's not. I mean, it's not going to be the only. It's not going to be one of the only red battleground states to go red.
Well, and what's unique about Wisconsin is that it's always within like that 1 percentage point, right? It's with 0.2, 0.3, 0.8. It's it's always very, very close, whether it's a blue or a red.
Yeah.
I was looking at polls this morning, and I keep seeing 0.3, 0.2. At that point, the polls they don't mean anything.
They can't catch it.
Yeah.
All in the margin of error.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to say if North Carolina goes blue, Wisconsin's going to be blue.
Sure.
All right, let's see what's on the next one. We've got. All right, this is where it starts turning around. So this is Fawcett saying, and this is just from earlier this morning. This is my prediction for the election this year. Pennsylvania isn't turning red. Too many people fled New Jersey and New York in 2020 for this to be a red state anymore. I mean, just one person on Twitter's opinion, but even under that scenario, it would be he's got 272 for Trump, 266 for Harris. Wisconsin goes red. North Carolina's red. Georgia's red. Arizona's red. Harris out of the battleground states has Nevada, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Oh, wait a minute. Didn't we have another one that showed that if she got those three states that she would win?
Again, somebody's opinion in the ex-Twitter world.
Yeah, really. let's see, on the last page, it was if she got Pennsylvania, North Carolina, that was the one. That's the
No,
difference on
that's
this
a different,
one.
all right.
So North Carolina is the tiebreaker on this one. All right, next one we got Nick Adams. Yeah, this is getting into overly optimistic territory here.
California red.
California and New York.
When did California go red? Ronald Reagan?
I think that was the last time, wasn't it? But I mean, I guess one of the things that I take away from all these maps is just what a volatile situation we're in right now. Because when you're on social media, maybe it's just the influencers that are really stoking this, maybe it's the media, but I think there is a strong perception on both sides that their side's going to win. I think if Democrats, if Tuesday night Harris wins, I think Republicans are going to be shocked across the country. I think if Trump wins, Democrats are going to be shocked. So I mean, it doesn't really make for a doesn't really make for a happy conclusion to all this. I guess no matter who wins,
Or an easy night.
an easy night or an easy week. I mean, there's going to be a lot of name calling no matter what happens. There's going to be a lot of finger pointing. There's going to be a lot of really ticked off people. I guess this is and this is probably another one of my predictions. Let's say Trump does win. I think we might have talked about this the last one. I can't remember for sure, Rebecca, but. Having watched, these things play out, how does a riot break out in Madison, Wisconsin? It never happens the night of. So, if...
They got to plan it.
Yeah, they got to plan it. So, I mean, if Trump wins, there's going to be like a pop-up protest. All the students, they're going to run over to the Capitol. They're going to just, howl at the moon for the night. And, that'll be it. There really won't be anything that goes on that night other than, that, and then the TV cameras will be there, of course, and capture it all. But the big thing, the big the risk point will be that weekend, because then the next day the announcement will be made, we're going to have a vigil on Friday nights. Everybody is invited. And then that's where you get, your hundreds and thousands of people downtown.
Yeah.
And that's where things can get out of control pretty fast, so...
Well, you're assuming things are going to be, done and over with night of.
No, I'm not. We've seen that, how these protests, they build momentum. So, I mean, Friday night, everyone will be putting together all their plans and conspiring about what they're going to do. And yeah, I use the word conspire because that's what it usually ends up being, because, riots aren't an accident.
That's right.
They are planned out.
That's true, but I'm not so sure we're going to actually know the results of the election night of.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Well, if Harris wins, we know. Well, wins outright, we'll know that night.
That's true.
They'll
too.
say, "Oh, we've counted everybody that we know as a Trump voter, and he doesn't have enough, and there's still all these absentee ballots out there."
So is that a prediction we want to take a shot at? Like, do you think it's going to be decided? And
Night of?
Yeah.
Whew, that's a good question.
Like,
There's part of me that thinks it will be.
yeah.
And it's a very different situation from 2020.
Sure. What about you, Rebecca? What do you think?
I think that I'll be staying up late regardless to see how it plays out, but I'm not sure that by midnight Tuesday that there'll be any sure result. Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that there's a pretty good shot at it. There's been a lot of people working very hard on making sure we get our elections right.
Yeah.
And I want to I want to say that I think all of those efforts have been, really been taking hold across the nation in all the various states, to the point where, there's a lot of negative news coming out about the people working in the election space.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think based on all of the negative articles, the attack articles that are happening on the people who want to ensure honest elections happening, that, I think that's a good indication that it probably will be done that night.
Yeah, I'd like to
Or shortly.
Yeah.
Or very shortly.
So I think, you know, I mean, we do this by time zones, right?
Yeah.
So if the polls close in the Eastern time zone and, you know, Pennsylvania goes red, I think Pennsylvania is your bellwether. So if that goes red and then Michigan goes red, I mean, it's going to be called,
Sure.
you know, almost immediately after.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll know really early.
Yeah.
If it gets to the point where there's one state that's going to decide it, that's holding it up, you're going to get, I mean, you'll at least get some, you know, county clerk in the most liberal county trying to hold up the vote to at least, you know, buy some time.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Don't want to be that one.
yeah. You know, this is, all right, so let's see, we got, oh yeah. So obviously a big factor that's going to determine how the night goes is going to be all the absentee voting.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's what kind of created all the controversy in 2020. That's what held things up. You know, here in Wisconsin, at least, you can't start counting those absentee ballots until the day of the election. So, you know, if you've got a ton of people at the polls and you've got a pile of absentee ballots, you know, it's going to really limit how many of those ballots you're able to feed through the machine before, you know, the polls close. So, looking at some of the charts, if you go to the elections website in Wisconsin, you can actually pull all this data for yourself to see how absentee voting is going in Wisconsin. They've got 4 categories: absentee applications, ballots that were mailed out to the voters, ballots that were returned in person, and people that are voting in person absentee. Just for reference, in 2020, the election was held on November 3rd. It's November 5th this time. So it's, you know, a couple of days difference, but you still aren't seeing, you know, you're still seeing, I mean, it's not accounting for the huge difference in the number of people trying to vote absentee this time.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at this first chart, the in-person absentee, that's the one that's really up this year. It's up by almost, you know, 200,000. That's like, you know, 35% increase so far this year from 2020. Imagine COVID might have had something to do with that. Next slide, we got Wisconsin absentee and in-person absentee voting. So this is all early voting combined. So when we looked at this at our last podcast on October 23rd, there was the numbers for all early voting in 2024 was 40% of what it had been in 2020. And you can see now on October, as of October 29th, which was the most recent data, that was yesterday, we're now up to 88%. So that gap is getting closed. It's probably going to close. It might even exceed what we had last time in early voting. So that could be a factor in dragging out the night here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm kind of expecting that number is going to continue to grow. People have been really putting the emphasis on getting those votes in early in case of inclement weather. Something pops up in people's lives. I mean, you know, there's been a lot of people out there advocating for people to vote early. So.
All right, so then we got the next 2 slides here. This is the early voting changes, 2020 versus 2024. And I took the 10 biggest counties here. So this first slide you're looking at, this is the raw number difference between what they had at this point in 2020 versus now in 2024. You can see Milwaukee is down 62,000 fewer votes than last time. Waukesha is up a mere 630. Dane County is down about 30,000. Racine is down 9,600. Brown County is down 1,300. Washington County is up 6,000. Kenosha down 7,500. Outagamie down 3,000. Ozaki down 842. And Winnebago down 7,000. Next slide, you can see what this, you know, amounts to in terms of percentages. You know, Milwaukee down 20%, Waukesha, I mean, that's about flat. Dane down 12%, Racine down 13%, Brown down 14%, Washington County up 10%, Kenosha down 12%, Outagamie down 5%, Ozaki down 2%, Winnebago down 13%. So, Annette, Rebecca, what do you think that this means? What's your takeaway from that? Well, I could point. I'll just point out real quick, just get the ball rolling here. That you know, Washington County, the Wild Counties, heavy Republican strongholds. I mean, I think that's, that really says something that they're up 10% and everyone else is down. I mean, Milwaukee, I mean, all those get out the vote, social justice organizations have to really be sweating bullets right now looking at that.
Well, let's step back a minute. You, never mind. You said Waukesha County. I was going to talk about Washington County. I'll wait till we get there.
Yeah, so yeah, Waukesha County, I mean, they're flat, so I mean, you know, that's not gonna tip the scales one way or the other.
Yeah.
See, Dane County's down, but I mean, early vote is going strong. I stopped at the library yesterday. I saw, I mean, there's a strong line. I mean, there were at least, you know, 2-3 dozen people there, you know, in the middle of the afternoon, so not even, you know, a lunch break.
Right.
Yeah, UW-Madison's campus, all of the early voting centers have had lines when I went past. Yeah.
So even yesterday, they said there was a big influx in Milwaukee County of return, you know, people voting early. So maybe people are just getting into it, and it's just like a steady, continuous thing that's happening instead of, you know, a rush. Maybe that's what was experienced previously. But in 2020, you know, it was like almost everybody felt like they had to vote, you know, early absentee because there were drive-throughs, right? Because people were kind of masked at the time.
Yeah.
That were, you know, afraid and put the mask on. So they were, you know, voting in line, basically. And so maybe that made it a little too easy for people to drive along in their car like they were going to a McDonald's, ordering food, and they were, you know, voting that way. So.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there was just, like, the get out the vote effort was just so unique in 2020, and I mean, just in terms of like the ballot boxes, there's like I think I reported or I got off the AP how it's like, you know, 1/5 the number of drop boxes in the state. It might be 1/6 the number this time around as last time. Yeah, I remember City Hall here in or the municipal building here in Madison. I mean, it was like a drive-through, just early voting drive-through constantly.
Right.
I mean, just there's been so little of that this time, and yeah, I mean, the drop boxes have been a little controversial, but it just there haven't been so many of them that it's risen to that being a really big deal.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You know, there's some of these counties here that are, you know, competitive races at the state level. I mean, like, what do you think it means with, you know, like Ozaki being, you know, slightly down, Washington County being up, you know, turnout being up in Washington County? I mean, is that a good sign for some of these Republicans that are coping with these new districts?
Well, I think it's a good sign in Washington County because they've really made a concerted effort to make sure that there was confidence in voting in their county, and they did a lot of pre-work to make sure that they had everything in order. They actually took a look at their budget and saw that they could, you know, move some money around so they could spend a little bit of extra money. So where they do have drop boxes, for instance, they've got cameras on them. They have been, you know, instructing their election clerks all over the county how to do things better, more efficient, and really making sure that, you know, there was more confidence in the outcomes of having, you know, integrity in their elections there. So I think that's a good sign that people are feeling that and they're actually going and voting.
Yeah, that's a good takeaway, because I mean, we're saying that they just the Democrat strongholds are not as fired up this time as they have been previously, and we're seeing, you know, an uptick in Washington County, which suggests that people are more confident about going out and voting.
Yep, that's what I think.
All right, Rebecca, you've been really quiet, so give us the campus report here.
Yeah.
What is going on campus? You have made some mention about it, but
yeah, I mean, the tables have been out for like a month straight now. So you've got the general nonpartisan get out to vote one, and then you've got the Kamala tables and the Trump tables. So like that's been picking up a little bit now that we're so close. And then the amount of signs that I've seen in the past 2 weeks is crazy. They're everywhere all of the time. My email is filled with get out to vote efforts. I'm being talked to by professors and people in class. It's on every billboard. It's everywhere on campus right now.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the great things, if you're a Democrat who is working a college campus, you don't need to tell them who to vote for.
Yeah.
You know that if you get everybody out to vote, it's going to really help you out. So, I mean, are you seeing a lot of, I mean, at the individual level, are you seeing just a lot of outpouring of support for Harris? Are you seeing some brave souls out there wearing red hats? I mean,
Well, actually, Eric Hovde was on campus last night for an event, and so I saw some of the red hats broken out for that in the event center itself, but primarily I'm seeing Harris Waltz posters and windows, people rocking the T-shirts and Harris Waltz hats. So, yeah, there's been no wave of red hats on UW-Madison's campus.
all right, so out of with all the visitors coming into Madison to try to drum up support for their side, I mean, we've had Tulsi Gabbard, we've had RFK Jr. I think we've got bands coming through. What's getting the students most excited? What are you hearing the most about?
Well, what I'm hearing the most about from other students is the Kamala rally that's happening today with Mumford & Sons and I believe it's Gracie Abrams.
Okay.
Like the concert rally that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're excited about the music acts coming through.
I think so. Yeah.
They had to set down. She had to set her sights down. After Beyonce's coming. Oh, Taylor Swift's coming. It's Mumford & Sons will be.
Yeah.
Is there actually a concert this time?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, if she gets stood up by them, that's really.
Right.
She's gonna be lying about that. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
All right.
So you haven't seen any hot spots going on because the controversy is always, we know what's happening on college campuses, but unless we're a student there, we really don't know that for sure. So do you see any controversies happening, like problems in nefarious types of activities going on, or it just seems to be pretty normal?
It's pretty normal. I mean, it's a college campus in the U.S., so it's pretty liberally biased everywhere. I wouldn't expect a nonpartisan campus, which is just the way it is. But I haven't seen any grossly nefarious get out to vote efforts being pushed at Madison.
Good to know.
I've been hearing about all the great food that is going, or all the great free food that's been going around at these rallies. The only one that really raised my eyebrows was that the first pictures that you sent of.
Was that the ice cream truck?
Yeah, the ice cream truck,
Yeah.
free ice cream to support Harris. I mean, that seemed like that one was crossing the line. I imagine at these rallies, if you're already having a rally and you're giving out free food, I don't know if that's really rises to the level of concern. But that's maybe.
Yeah, I think specifically with that one, they had ice cream, and you could have the ice cream if you were registered to vote. So that was the nonpartisan part of that, and then every ice cream flavor was some Kamala line, and everybody there was everybody there was just voting for was obviously trying to push that. So
Sure.
yeah.
Any other free food on campus, or was that it?
I've seen little things here and there, like free coffee, or there's a snow cone.
Oh my gosh, they could do better than that.
Yeah.
Well, don't give
Very
me any
small,
ideas, Bill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you told me there's free buffet lines on campus, I mean, I'd probably head over there.
Yeah. Free Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that'd be. College Republicans should do that next time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're wrapping it up here. Why don't we let's go around and make our final predictions. Rebecca, I'm going to pick on you. I'm going to make you start this off. So,
Okay.
Who do you think is going to carry the country? Who do you think is going to carry Wisconsin? And when do you think we'll know?
I'm going to say Trump wins the country and Trump wins Wisconsin. I really don't know about when we're going to know next week, but my guess would be Wednesday.
Annette?
Well, I'm not too far away from what Rebecca's predicting. I think it's pretty close. I think, again, all of the work that people have been doing in this election integrity space, I think is going to pay off. So I think we're going to have some pretty honest elections. It might take us a little bit to understand the numbers of absentee ballots, that might take us a while to get those processed. So probably Wednesday we'll know who's taken. I don't know about Pennsylvania, though. Like, Pennsylvania could be, it was quite a number of days last time.
Yeah, it could be
before we knew.
Yeah, huge controversy, and there could be a huge controversy in Philadelphia or
Right.
Pittsburgh this time, and that holds everything up.
Yeah, and it's kind of proving to be so already. There's been some controversies going on in Pennsylvania even today. So, but I will say that I think that Trump is going to probably win the state and the nation overall. I really still think that Minnesota is not going to vote for Walz because they're tired of, the things that have happened in Minnesota. Their beautiful Minneapolis burned, was allowed to burn, and I think, he raised taxes when he had a surplus budget. I think that is, a nail in the coffin there as well. So, I really kind of am expecting my home state of Minnesota to go red this time, even though they didn't go red with Ronald Reagan, which was embarrassing. But so that's what I think. I think people are tired of not having enough money in their pockets like they did, 4 years ago.
All right, so I'm realizing that I'm kind of boxing myself in a corner because, although I'm very, very cautiously optimistic, I want to go with, Trump's going to win the country. But that kind of, in my mind, that then, there's other conditions that have to exist for that to happen. It's got to be a landslide, overwhelming victory for him to win. So even though I've been saying Wisconsin's going to go blue because, I live in Rock County. It's always, my eyes are assailed with Harris signs everywhere. It's like very hard to believe that that Wisconsin could go red again. But if I'm going to say that Trump's going to win the general, I got to say he's going to win Wisconsin. And then my other thing is we're going to know by Wednesday morning that he won, because if this gets delayed, if Trump hasn't won outright, they're going to find a way. They're going to find those extra votes they need to push Kamala over.
Well, actually, I think for the health of our country, it's going to have to be a landslide. It can't be close because there'll just be so much confusion that people will have in their own minds, and there'll be lots of controversial conspiracy type things going on, and that's not going to be healthy for our country at all.
Yeah, I really hope it's not close.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Annette, Rebecca, thank you for your time today. And to all of our viewers and listeners, this has been the MacIver Report. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we will check back in with you next week after the election. It'll be Wednesday. So hopefully by then we know who's won and we'll be able to talk all about that.